After events like these, there is a search for answers, with many people wondering whether there were warning signs that may have been missed. And the big one is, how could this have been prevented? Dr. Laura Guy is a clinical forensic psychologist and threat assessment specialist, and she joins us from Vancouver. Thank you very much for connecting with us. Let's start with this. What are the common characteristics or signs of someone that has the potential to be a mass shooter?
Well, thank you for having me. Maybe I'll just actually start out by saying that behavioral threat assessment is a very well-developed, proactive approach to prevent violence that relies on identifying, assessing, and responding to individuals who display concerning behaviors. But importantly, to answer your question, it moves away from or avoids the myth that there is a prototypical or profile of somebody who engages in these acts of targeted violence or school shootings, and rather relies on identifiable warning behaviors. So examples of these could be really obvious things, such as making direct threats or expressing intentions to harm someone specific or an organization more globally, or it could simply be communicating thoughts about having violence and intending to act violently more generally. We know typically in cases where they're in acts of targeted violence, there's some evidence of leakage where the person communicates some intent or some thoughts about violence. Not always, but that certainly is one of the more robust, obvious warning signs.
So there is the explicit warning. I think we all understand that is something that needs to raise an alarm. There is what you describe as leakage. So give us a brief description of that, because that might create situations that not everybody recognizes.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, is that behavioral threat assessment relies on people knowing what to look for, as well as knowing to whom or how to make reports. And so, leakage might be things like a person of interest or perpetrator making remarks on social media posts, or sending messages in group chats to friends about thoughts of violence or something that's preoccupying them. Perhaps, typically we see somebody who is feeling a grievance or a wrong, or they feel that a harm has been done to them, whether it's actual or perceived. They could be speaking just about an interest in weapons, or about an interest or fascination with people who have engaged in attacks in the past. So those are some of the clear, obvious things that we look at. And then really the key to threat assessment done this way is empowering people to know what to look for, and having systems in place that concerns can be shared either anonymously or to a trusted adult, and then ensuring that there are properly trained teams to assess the information that they receive about that concerning behavior.
We have less than a minute left, but I think that this is maybe the most important message of all, because there are going to be a lot of people out there who are thinking, I'm not going to call the police unless I'm sure. I'm not going to give voice to these things unless I'm sure. Is there a resource they can go to help them identify these signs?
Well, what I'd say is, I think the most important thing is, if you have a concern, report it to a trusted adult. It doesn't have to be police. It can be to anyone in your workplace or your school, and there are trained people who can help assess whether that's something that deserves further attention. It's creating this climate of shared responsibility for increasing safety, and ensuring that we have a shared responsibility, and that it's not ratting someone out, and that we all have a shared responsibility to maintain safety.
All right, some important messages. Laura Guy, clinical forensic psychologist and threat assessment specialist in Vancouver. Thank you.
Thank you.